Well, everybody, welcome back to another Animal Revolt Battle Simulator video. So we have a new introduction I have made for you guys for a new faction or a set that I've made. And now, mind you, these are all actual working exoskeletons. And, you know, they're not just mumble-jumbled, randomly placed things, and just called it exoskeleton. They all have a purpose. And I'll, show you guys that. I'll explain as we go through. And so exoskeletons we have from tier 1 to 6, and let's go ahead and load that for you. There we go. You could probably hear voices a lot clearer now using them on my old headset that I thought was stuffed up, but apparently it's actually a lot better. And it's still working fine. So here it is. Alrighty, we have the 6 exoskeletons here with all of their own purpose and own mechanisms, support, all done individually, all tested individually. Went through a lot constantly to see if they're working fine, whether it be battles or even after the battle when they're just walking around, how they function, and how they carry their weight and their weapons, and all supported accordingly to each tier. So we'll start off with the first one here. This is the very first basic one. This exoskeleton here, this one is the first one. This is the tier 1. This one here is made in order to be the most basic foot soldier in the first exoskeletons tier. It's to carry a good medium amount of weight of armor, as well as the head also being heavily armored as well, while also having that a little bit of support for those appropriate areas in the foot as well to carry these armor, while using its main assault rifle as useful as possible, and added on the right armor on the appropriate areas. As you can see, this still has its support even for the first tier. So yeah, this is the most basic one. It's made like all these parts are made individually to support it carrying this amount of armor while still being quick and being as useful as possible, and being able to take a couple hits for the first basic one. And then we'll move on to the tier 2. This is where we start to get more advanced. This here is the first one with the machine gun, the chain gun weapon as well, making use of its left side, while the right side has, it's got its assault rifle, of course. But we have its first machine gun here in the tier 2, as you can see, fully supported here. In order to be able to carry this weapon on the human size with all the weight, it's all supported individually and ran through a lot, of course, as you can see, with the support that it needed. In order to, as you can see, I took away some things and placed a few instead, in order to maintain its weight and also its armor while being able to move quick enough with the medium weight, and also carrying that machine gun. And so this one is a tier 2. It's all fully supported, all tested fine. Very, very fun to use these guys. Now, because these are human sizes, this is the only size of machine guns you can do, which is somewhat realistic. I like to go with somewhat realistic mechanisms, so that way it's kept maintaining its speed, its armor, and it's using its weapon as effective as possible, while having its maintaining most of its normal speed. So you've got to look out for that. And then we move on to the more advanced version of this one. This is tier 3. Now this one is the more of a heavy one. This one here has 2 machine guns, and as you can see, in order to make full use of its machine guns on both sides, we had to make sure the posture, everything is fully supported on both sides in order to, carry all this weight and move forward sensibly with also carrying all this armor and putting these. I also want to make this also like because I want to do two things at once for this part here. I want to give it a look of a style where it's controlling the machine guns, but also for the mechanics, I wanted this to capture its left arm, not getting in the way of the full combat when these both are in action, and it's got its assault rifle as well. So yeah, and that way we're maintaining all of its weight and it's moving really appropriately. As you can see, I had to adjust the feet here as well. I went through it a lot because this one was the tier 3, so it started getting more hectic. And if the obviously a part of the game where it does clip out of the armor, that's totally fine. Don't worry. After the battle or when it's moving, eventually it's going to pop its hand or arm back inside this little slot here. So it's going to go back to using these and over here as well. So that way these parts here are going to be, this one is also going to posture appropriately to use its assault rifle and using this at the same time as well, not getting in front of that. So that one was a little difficult. I had to keep adjusting this part, but at the end got the final product. So both these parts have their own arm slots, and you got the nice little T-shape chain guns here, fully supported all the way down from the feet and all the way up to the head. And yeah, it's all connected. As you can see, the weight is all evened out in order for these parts to carry this part, support all of that. And yeah, as you can see, and the decorations as well, all have their own decoration accordingly to their purpose and what their intentions are. So each tier has their own style accordingly to what tier they are. And then we move on to the first melee, the first up close and personal exoskeleton here. This is the tier 4. Now this one here, as you can see, it starts to get more hectic because the mechanisms here took quite a lot of testing and time. But this is the most, most appropriate thing you could do for the exoskeleton in order to support its full intention of up close and personal combat. And with it being able to take a lot of hits on the head as well. And while the armor is fully supported, all from these parts all the way to the feet. So these guys are going to be able to take hits, and they're going to be able to shrug it off with the exoskeleton supporting each part of its area. The weight all being balanced, as you can see. It started to get a bit more hectic here. And the feet perfectly supported in order to carry the spinning gear, the spinning blades. And yeah, so these guys are completely fully supported from either way, all the way up to the leg as well. As you can see, it's all connected and it all supports each other. Even if they clip or unclip out, don't worry, it's going to clip back in and it's going to go back to supporting itself. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure the clipping will be a fix the devs will probably do some time. As you can see, we've got the leg all here placed appropriately in order to support it for the up close and combat. We'll be able to take hits and carry all its armor as well. But it's all fully supported and it works really well. And then we move on to the tier 4. 1, 2, 3. Yes, the tier 4. So this one here. This one here is the same as the other one, but obviously it had to have a lot more support and adjustments in order to carry these 2 large harpoons, which is pretty heavy for human size. That's why I had to go through a lot of these. Now these ones are made intentionally to, if you want to get on top of these big enemies. So let's say you got these T-Rexes, these guys are going to go on top of them, they're going to stick onto them, and they're not going to let them go. They're going to keep, putting on those heavy hits and those blades to use quick as possible while carrying all this heavy armor as quick as possible, and they're going to be able to also take a lot of hits, as well as, you know, if they're being hit, this is going to shrug it off for them. So it's doing multiple things at once, as you can see, and it's also fully supported and adjusted, as well as the others. Excuse me, sorry about that. And yeah, so it was quite a long process because the harpoons for the human size is quite heavy, so they had to be all readjusted again. As you can see, some parts have been taken out, and some parts have been placed somewhere else, or some more things added appropriately to have it work the best as possible. And if they don't get on top of big enemies, if they're, you know, going up against maybe a little bit bigger than humans, or humans in total or in general, they're going to latch onto them. You're either going to pull them closer or go quicker to them. So yeah, they're going to carry all that weight as quick as possible. It's pretty effective. It's very fun to see what they do. And then we have the last tier. Hold on a sec. 1, 2, 4. Sorry, not tier 6. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. So we have five tiers. My bad, not 6 tiers. So that would be tier 5. This one here. Wait, sorry, 2. Yep, that'll be tier 5. And then we move on to tier. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I got confused. Yep, that is tier 6. This one here is tier 6. And this one here. Now, it's going to be taken out mostly, or I'd say you're only going to use this when you're up against above human height enemies. Okay, so this is the tier 6, and it's got its Tesla little cannon on this left side here. These guys are going to be a good addition to the unit if they take you on for the above human height enemies, right? And a lot of adjustments had to be made for this one as well. As you can see, the arm support for the right side, posturing it to make use of its assault rifle, and also, you know, being totally in balance, as well as the fate tier carrying all of the weight, because this one was heavy, obviously, because the this weapon here is quite heavy. So it's got, these ones are made to take on those big guys, right? So they're going to take a lot of hits. It's got its own little shelter area as well as extra armor on its head and carrying all of it. So these are going to support it, as well as also being able to shrug off those big hits. So they're not gonna go down easily, because if they're getting hit and they're, you know, like getting rolled around and shit or like that, they're going to stand up again. These parts, the head shelter and the shoulder shelters, are going to help. You know, it's going to support it in order to take those big hits, as well as, you know, separating this part here to focus completely on that part where it's aiming directly. And it's going to be very useful for multiple things. So obviously realistic as well, you wouldn't want, you know, like an electric thing right next to your face. So it's going to separate that, while also protecting with this little shelter here mechanism that I did, and a nice right arm posture, while, you know, having all these parts here, the feet all the way upwards, they all have to be adjusted, as you can see, and they're all connected, and they support it, all placed appropriately for its sensible parts. So as you can see, the mechanisms here, really nice stuff, and they look all tangled up and stuff, but trust me, they're not. They work smooth, and even if they get declipped during the battle, they pop back into their position, being effective and really fun to use again. So there we have the Exo-Skeletons from tier 1 all the way to tier 6. You got these. You got the three gunners here for the foot soldiers, and then you got the melees, and then you got the one that takes on the big guys. This one here I added later as I was about to release. I'm like, you know what, we're gonna add this as well. Idea just came up to my head again, So I'm like, there you go, you got the whole tier 1 to tier 6 little Exo-Skeletons faction and set, you can say. These guys are really fun to play with as well. Honestly, they're really fun, the stuff that you can do. You can even put them against tyrants, do like a little tyrant exoskeleton battle. Because I like to do somewhat realistic, futuristic things, obviously. So it's going to be, it's going to have a lot of mechanisms in there, and they all have to be tested. I went through all of them a lot, even though they're human size. Actually, the human sizes can be a lot more difficult because the blocks are small, so you need to really focus on where you're putting things. And obviously, they're not being able to carry a lot of weight. You need to posture all of it, and each part has to support the other all the way going up from the feet all the way to the rest of the body and to the head, being able to carry all of it. And yeah, so the decorations are all made appropriately to what their intentions are as well. Pretty sick stuff. Hope you guys enjoy it, and if you have any issues or anything, just report it. I'll fix it straight away, but I've tested it like multiple times, each one, all through battles and just free roaming as well. So yeah, they're all perfectly fine. I'm going to upload it for you guys. I'll upload them individually and also upload the whole set here for the map, just in case you want to, have a little map where it just pops up straight away. You can do whatever you want with it. But yeah, thank you very much and have fun.